Okay, we are finally up and running after so many difficulties. Don't know why certain things weren't working, but here we are. Finally ready to go live. So, without any further ado, let's get this started. Hitting record and bang.
You're listening to Direct Sports Daily, your source for a fresh new take on all the latest headlines from the world of sports. And now, here's your host, George Bennett.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Today is April 5th, 2017. And yeah, that national title game between UNC and Gonzaga, it was so bad, we're not even going to talk about it today. And it was only a couple days ago. That little less than 10 minutes I spent on it yesterday, I feel like that was enough. We will probably forget that even happened in a few years, but hey. So, big story. Russell Westbrook ties Oscar Robertson with his 41st triple-double of the year. Big deal for Russ. I mean, we all saw this coming months ago. He's just been on a tear all year. But one of the things that was interesting, I was watching SportsCenter at like 3 a.m. last night because I couldn't sleep. And they were talking about, is this the best NBA season ever? The best regular season of the NBA ever? And that's a pretty interesting question. They brought up all these stats. They had Scoop Jackson narrate it. It was pretty interesting. But obviously Russell Westbrook, he is sort of the catalyst of all this. Like they threw a bunch of there's never been more 3-pointers made. No more. There's never been more 20-point scorers on average in a year. There's never been more triple doubles. More teams averaging 100 points. And it's like, yeah, scoring stats are up. Got a very hotly contested MVP race. I think Westbrook takes it after last night. I'm still on the Kawhi bandwagon just because defense, I think, is a lot of people forget about. And there's no greater on-ball defender in the league than Kawhi, but that's neither here nor there. Like, if I had a vote, I'd probably still give it to Westbrook. Because, like, you can't argue with the numbers he's putting up. It's quite frankly a tad bit ridiculous what he's doing this year. Never thought we'd actually see someone average a triple-double for a whole season, but he's doing it. I think they said he needs, like, 16 more assists and in the next 5 games, and he's got it. So, hats off to him. He's already locked up rebounds and obviously points. He's averaging like 30 a game. But last night he had a bit of a Jason Kidd triple-double. Not quite a true Jason Kidd triple-double. He had 12, 13, and 13. I say a true Jason Kidd triple-double is when you don't get more than 12 in any particular category, and you have to have like at least 10 in one of them. Because if for those of you who watched basketball back in the day, it felt like Jason Kidd did that all the time. That's why I say that. You always look at his stat line. It was always like 11, 10, and 12, and he would get a triple-double. He was sort of a poor man's Russell Westbrook in that regard. Now he's just sitting there coaching the Bucks to sort of subpar results. I think they're in the playoffs, so I can't hate on the Bucks too much. Although like they're in one of those volatile 7-8 spots. Oh, excuse me, they're at 5 now. Yeah, the bottom like half of the Eastern Conference playoffs is just like a mess. Like you just got a bunch of teams like hovering around 500, like fighting it out for the last like 4 spots. Milwaukee's in there at 5, Atlanta, Chicago, Indiana. The Hornets and Pistons are probably out of it at this point. They're 6 and 7 games under 500 respectively. But so that's the thing. Cleveland moves into a tie with the Celtics for the best record in the East. They previously dropped behind the Celtics. You got Golden State, who's on a 12-game winning streak. San Antonio just got their first ever back-to-back 60-win season. So, could this be the best regular season of the NBA we've ever seen? It is quite possible. It looks like you have, I'd say, about five, maybe 6 teams who could legitimately pose a threat for the title. Ultimately, I think nobody's stopping Golden State, but you never know. I say Houston definitely has a legit shot, along with Golden State and San Antonio out west, and I could see Boston. You just get a couple games where Isaiah Thomas is hot, and potentially something happens, but there's no telling. I think once we do get to the playoffs, Kevin Durant comes back for the Warriors. They say he's going to be back Saturday. I think once you get him back in the fold, I don't think anybody's stopping that team, especially if he can sort of get into a rhythm quick. Like I said earlier, there's only like 4, 5, 6 games left for most teams. Golden State still has an outside shot at 70 wins, which is ridiculous. It's not every day you see a team, or every season you see a team get 70 wins and then the second place team gets 60. It happened last year, obviously, but to have that happen in back-to-back seasons where you get over 60 wins and you're the 2 seed, that's insane. The Cavs, they got to do some soul searching in these last final games, or at least get that grit to them to toughen them up come playoff time, because they're not looking the greatest. They're not looking like unbeatable. Obviously, whoever they play in the first round, I think they'll handily beat. Especially considering that Milwaukee has moved up out of the basement, so to speak. Even though they only have a 2-game lead on the Pacers, that's the difference between 5 and 8 is 2 games. But if the Cavs end up playing the Pacers in the first round, I think they don't have anything to worry about. If they play the Bulls, nothing to really worry about there either. Especially, I I heard Dwayne Wade's out for the year. I'm gonna fact check that real quick, because I'm pretty sure I heard that, but I don't want to give false information out here. Oh no, it says he's making progress, but I don't know that if he's banged up, that still hurts the Bulls a bit. Even with him, I don't see them being somebody who could take down the Cavs in the first round. But then you're looking at a potential second round matchup. It's probably going to be either the Raptors or the Wizards. I can see either of those teams giving you trouble if you're Cleveland. It all depends. The Raptors and Wizards are actually tied for the 3 seed right now. The tiebreaker goes to the Raptors as of right now, but who knows? But that's all I really got to say about the NBA. Like, obviously, shouts out to Westbrook for getting it done, but man, who knows what's going on with that whole situation in the East. But the Masters is also this week, so I'll let you talk a little bit about that. Dustin Johnson, he's pretty much the favorite to win it. Because I think I heard somewhere he's won like his past 3 tournaments he's entered. So the guy's on fire as of right now. But who knows what's going to happen in the Masters? Obviously, it's not like the old days with Tiger Woods where it's like, is it Tiger or the field? Obviously, like Dustin Johnson has so many great golfers he's competing in against. No Tiger, so that takes some of the fun out of it. But well, the main thing is Jordan Spieth is his biggest competition. I think they said Jordan Spieth's finishes in the Masters have been second, first, and second. So Spieth shows up to the Augusta National. He shows up tremendously. So Dustin Johnson's going to have a run for his money. I don't like how golf is being marketed right now. I feel like the whole Johnson-Spieth rivalry needs to be played up more. Golf, I don't think, has ever, with the exception of Tiger Woods, done a great job of marketing its superstar players. Not in the way like the NBA does. It's like I don't feel like Dustin Johnson is the household name he needs to be. I don't think Jordan Spieth is. I think a lot of people are still convinced Rory McIlroy's the best golfer in the world, which if you've been paying attention in the past like year or two, he's not. I mean, that just is what it is. We all thought Rory was going to take the mantle left by Tiger, but I think definitely Jordan Spieth has more of an opportunity to do that. But obviously, nobody's going to be as big as Tiger. But I think if you have a good rivalry, that can create some compelling storylines for you. So let me just adjust the camera here for a second. But I don't think they've played up that rivalry enough. I haven't seen like get those two in some commercials together or something like that, or get their sponsors going against each other. I don't know. Do something. Because if I hadn't just been sitting up late at night watching SportsCenter, I wouldn't even know that Dustin Johnson had been on this tear that he's been on. And, for people who like casually follow golf like I do, he's somebody you've heard of. You don't necessarily know too much about. I know he's won some majors, but that's another thing when it comes to me in golf. Like I'm not the most knowledgeable. I know the top players, and this is pretty much why I literally watch golf 4 days a year, max. I watch Sunday during a major. That's pretty much it. So if you're not getting it done in a major tournament, I'm not gonna sit there and watch some random pro-am at Pebble Beach or something like that. I'm not that guy that's like wholly invested in it. I can't watch every sport. But yeah. Speaking of like just terrible marketing, I'm hearing no buzz about baseball coming back. It's like at first it was the World Baseball Classic, came and went with literally zero fanfare, and now I feel like I'm hearing nothing about like opening day. Like this is the opening week of baseball, and I'm not hearing much about anything. It's like I shouldn't have to be seeking information out about this. It's like the NBA is sort of taking over, and I think a lot because Adam Silver's a genius, and he is a lot more humble and doesn't have the bravado of a David Stern, his predecessor. But I think Adam Silver is taking the NBA in such a great direction. baseball is sort of going down. They haven't recovered from the whole steroid thing, because baseball was at its peak back when you had the Sosa McGuire home run chase. I remember hearing about that. Like, I wasn't even into sports. Certainly, I wasn't into baseball at the time. I started to like baseball later on in life. I think I started getting into sports when I was about 11. Didn't really watch any baseball until I was about 15. But I remember hearing about Sosa McGuire, that home run contest, like just all over the place, even when I was just a little kid. And that was when you brought people into the game of baseball. And then the whole Mitchell report and all that came out, and you sort of took a hit from that. And I feel like baseball has yet to recover. The whole like chicks dig the long ball campaign hasn't gotten them much of anywhere, and the NBA has since flourished. Like they've gone about this in the method of, okay, we have these star players, let's market these star players and make them into just the biggest things since sliced bread. You have Michael Jordan, you have Kobe Bryant, you have LeBron James, and then you even got people like you create these sort of rivalries between like the Cavs and the Warriors and things of that nature. You got the old time rivalries of the Magic versus Bird, and that sort of Celtics Lakers East Coast West Coast thing still lives on today. And other than like the Yankees and the Red Sox, like there aren't huge rivalries. I mean, you got the Cubs and the Cardinals, but I feel like rivalries aren't built up to be that much in baseball, especially like individual players. And I realize a lot of times like your pitchers are your stars and stuff like that, but like I don't hear buzz about just Mike Trout in popular culture the way I feel I should. I don't hear about Clayton Kershaw just coming up. Like, I don't feel like the casual like observer of everything pop culture knows that, unless they're a baseball fan. I'm thinking a lot of people know who Mike Trout is. You walk up to someone on the street, I don't think they know who Mike Trout is. They know who Stephen Curry is. They know who Russell Westbrook is. But they don't know a Mike Trout. They don't know a Chris Bryant. Like, if you brought these names up, they don't know who they are. So I think baseball is like, I feel like when I was growing up, it was sort of a toss-up between who was the like true number 2 sport behind football. Because obviously football's king. But with their shaky foundation, with the whole injuries and things of that nature, I could easily see football falling off 20, 30 years from now. And I think the NBA has positioned itself to sort of take that mantle and become the number 1 sport, whereas I've seen baseball take so many steps back in not becoming that. I think they were clearly right there. In fact, you could argue they were the number 2 behind the NFL. And at one point they were number 1. However, now it's getting to the point baseball is falling off in terms of popularity, and it's a shame because you can see sort of the kids that grew up like idolizing a Bonds, a McGuire, a Sosa, all these guys from the previous era, guys like the Big Unit and Randy Johnson and people like that. You see these guys are now growing up, and they're the Mike Trouts, they're the Bryce Harpers of the world. They're people who are great young American players that are the reason the U.S. won the World Baseball Classic for the first time. You're finally seeing that influx in which America is sort of back. And that's what I tweeted out as soon as we won the World Baseball Classic. And I say we in the sense of America. I know I didn't go out there. I didn't get any hits or strike anyone out, but you get what I'm saying. We won it, and we took our game back. Like, baseball has always been a foundation of American culture, and it was sort of like, okay, Japan's coming in, you got the Latin influence, and it feels like we're getting less and less American players out there. But now I feel like you're sort of coming back with that, but just the powers that be aren't selling the game in a manner it needs to be sold. Just the season. One thing, the season is too much of a long grind. That's another thing. I don't. When I walk outside, I don't think of baseball because I live in Michigan. It's still cold now. Like, it's early April. It's cold. It's rainy. It's dreary. I'm not thinking baseball. And by the time the season's over, I'm like towards the playoffs. I'm already in football mode. The season for the majors needs to be condensed. You need to get that thing down to like 4 or 5 months. You can't go like early April, late March to late October, early November. You can't do that. That's way too long. Nothing could possibly hold my interest for that long. Except you gotta just acknowledge, like, you can't be the NFL. Like, the NFL can have a long, drawn-out season like that. In fact, the NFL is like, what, 5 months? When you consider the playoffs are, what, 3 weeks? And then you got 17 weeks of regular season. So the NFL is wrapped up and done in 5.5 months. Why do you need what does that come to, like, nearly 7 or 8, like, for Major League Baseball? Like, you gotta. I say I have this whole thing, and I might just make a whole YouTube video about it. Like, I've been thinking about this, sitting on this idea for months. It's like, have more doubleheaders, eliminate a couple ranks of minor leagues, so that way you can just move more players up to the majors, have a expanded major league rosters, have a lot more doubleheaders, so that with the expanded rosters you can swap in and out players so that they don't have to play all the time. And then it puts more onus on your managers to be more strategic with I just had this guy play doubleheader yesterday. He played the first half of a doubleheader today. I gotta get this guy a rest and get this guy in. This guy needs some work. It's like all of a sudden you have starting pitching rotations of like 8 players, and yeah, it messes up a lot of the like season long stats. But like, you gotta resuscitate this league somehow. You can't. This thing needs to like probably start halfway through April and needs to be wrapped up before football gets too strong and something you can't compete against. Because I'm gonna be honest, I never watch like the playoffs unless the Tigers, my favorite team, is in it. Just because I'm too wrapped up in football. I have to focus on my fantasy team. I'm focusing on the Lions, like what they're doing, to see if they're actually going to compete, or if I'm like praying they lose just to get a higher draft pick or something like that. But oh god, stupid wires making noise. There we go. Oh my god. I know this is annoying me. Oh god. Just unplug it. But yeah, changes need to come to baseball. It's like there's literally zero fanfare for the start of the season, and that's another thing. Your opening day was the same day as the national championship in college basketball. And I know this rant about baseball is taking up the whole show, but like, it's not too much going on. I mean, we could talk Tony Romo some more, but In fact, I'll get into that a little bit towards the end. But yeah, baseball. You got to get it together. It's like absolutely nothing. And it's like I don't see your stars doing things. It's like Mike Trout, Bryce Harper, they need to become the faces of your organization. You got two guys who appear to be like all-time greats. It's like even the NHL, you know Crosby and Ovechkin, and you've known them their whole careers. It's like the NHL did a better job of promoting them. And when you're saying the NHL's doing better than you could potentially slide into fourth baseball. So, I'm looking at things, just looking at the headlines, the top headlines on here. Okay, Romo. You got the Boston Bruins. You got something about Amazon is basically taking Twitter's Thursday Night Football streaming package. Something about Stephen Curry. Something about UNC. Something about Carmelo. Malik Monk declares for the NBA draft. And then one thing about the Mets. It's like, how in the opening week of baseball are there not more baseball headlines? It's and as someone who really loves baseball, this hurts me. But I was just reading the top headlines off NBC Sports, and one of them's about baseball, like some guy getting injured. That's it. You're also opening up during the first week. This is the week of the Masters too. It's way too crowded. You're competing for too much. You're competing for mind share, and you just can't get it in this day and age. And you gotta move way quicker. You gotta move way quicker on your pace of play stuff. You can't be sitting around. Oh well, this year we're gonna just allow signals for intentional walks. It's like you gotta move quicker than that. But Tony Romo, I do want to get into this. CBS basically just put up a middle finger to Phil Simms. We don't know what's happening with him. He apparently is going to be Tony Romo is going to be the lead analyst for CBS Sports NFL game coverage. He's going to be in the booth with the heavenly voice of Jim Nantz, who brings us everything big on CBS, quite frankly. You just heard him call the Final Four and a lot of the NCAA tournament games. It's like Jim Nantz is the guy at CBS. He pretty much does everything, but I think the SEC games on Saturday, because he's prepping for the NFL games on Sunday mostly. I'm sure if he could do both, they would have him doing both. But Romo, from playing and like being injured and whatnot, straight into the lead analyst spot for CBS. I don't understand this move by CBS at all. It is extremely questionable. I thought Jim Nantz and Phil Simms had some good chemistry. I actually like a lot of the things Phil Simms has to say. He's not over the top, but not quite boring either. He's not Troy Aikman, and he's not Chris Collinsworth either. He's probably like a healthy middle ground between those two. He's not the most entertaining guy, but he gets the job done. And I thought he was a solid pairing with Jim Nantz. But Tony Romo is a complete wild card. Like, he could be terrible. There could be nothing but ums and ahs all over the place with him. But it's going to be... It's definitely like a bold strategy by CBS to do something like this. But hey, In other news, Lance Stevenson is an idiot. Surprise, surprise. And another thing I just learned today was a thing. Apparently, they have a Masters Champions dinner before everything gets kicked off. And that just sounds sick. Apparently, like, you have to have a green jacket to get in and whatnot. Like, that just sounds cool. Like, I imagine, like, Heisman Trophy winners do the same thing or something like that. But yeah. Oh, here's an interesting headline from Fox Sports, and this is something I never thought of. Maybe we'll talk about it more tomorrow because I'm running out of time now. So Tony Romo, with his retirement, people are now saying Colin Kaepernick could potentially be somebody who gets a call from the Texans. I've beat the drum about Colin Kaepernick so much. This guy's getting the rawest of deals in the NFL. I don't understand why people don't want him. It's the whole protest thing. I think that's way overblown, but Colin Kaepernick, he is clearly, I'd say, a top 25, if not top 20 quarterback in the NFL. I think you could do much worse, and I think a lot of teams are. So I don't know why he's gone this long without a job. By all metrics, he had a pretty good season last year. I had him on my fantasy team late in the year, and he put up numbers. So he was not the problem in San Francisco. It was a multitude of other things, including Carlos Hyde's injury and just historically one of the worst run defenses in the history of the sport. But hey, I think that's gonna about wrap it up. I don't know what this music that's playing is, but I'm gonna call it a day on the show. Thanks for listening. Thanks for everybody who tuned into the live stream on YouTube. Just a reminder, we do stream the show live on YouTube now. And if you missed the live stream, you can just watch it on YouTube after the fact. It will be archived. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for everything.
This has been another episode of Direct Sports Daily. Thanks for listening, and to keep up with the show, follow us on Twitter at the DSD Podcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio, or visit our website, www.directsportsdaily.com.
Okay, that intro came out, our outro came out terrible, so I'm going to play it again and just edit that out.
This has been another episode of Direct Sports Daily. Thanks for listening, and to keep up with the show, follow us on Twitter at the DSD Podcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio, or visit our website, www.directsportsdaily.com.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff you get to see when you tune into the live stream. Yeah, there's something wrong with this cord that connects my phone. Like, I got this cord that connects my phone to the mixer. There's something wrong with it. Like, that's what that static noise is. And I keep on plugging. Probably just need to get a new cord, but that's annoying. But thanks for tuning in. I'm gonna cut the stream now too. Yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.